All right, gaming compute. So, talking about e-commerce, digital marketing, I would say the next general phase, um, once you figure out if you're even trying to sell a service or a product, you want to start figuring out what your strategy is going to be. Now, I would say there's probably, I mean, I may be missing things because I'm talking on the fly here, but I would say one of the first things you want to figure out is what you're selling, right? You also want to figure out what platform you're going to use to sell whatever it is you're selling, right? It needs to be the appropriate matching platform. So, keeping that in mind, if you are, say, providing a service, say you want to write blog articles for people, right? Say you have no social media presence, say you're you buy a domain, you have a skill already, which is blog uh blog article content writing. Let's just say you don't even understand SEO yet. You don't understand which platforms are best for what. You don't have a social media presence yet. Let's say you bought the domain bestblogger.com. I don't know. But say if that's the domain you bought and you decided to, I'm making up a bad example here. Say you bought, I'm not saying that the domain is bad. I don't really know. But say you bought the domain bestblogger.com, right? It's easier to talk about things with holes than it is to talk about something that's fully established, because then you can kind of recognize like, oh, that makes sense. So say you don't have the complete adequate skills to actually write a, like, you think you have the skills. Anyone can blog, anyone can open up a blog and start blogging, right? But say you don't understand traffic, you don't understand SEO, you don't understand keywords. Say if you don't understand any of that and you're like, I just want to get this domain, call it bestblogger.com, get a Shopify store, make a Shopify website called bestblogger.com, create that store where you have one digital product that you're selling that is an order form for your blogging services. So if people click that, say you're charging $50 a month to write a blog post a week, um, say you don't even mention the word count, you don't even specify, are you blogging on Blogger or Medium or someone else's kind of like .com blog, like WordPress, like where are you blogging on? Say you don't specify, you're just like, I write blog posts, I want to write blog posts and hire me to write your blog, even though you don't really know much even about like the details, right? And you're going in cold, you don't have an Instagram, you don't have Twitter, you don't have Facebook, you don't have TikTok, you don't have anything. Just you and your Shopify store with its domain name and the fact that you can type, but you don't know any of these other details, right? How well do you think that service is going to sell? And let's just say you're not creating ads, you're not advertising your services anywhere. So if you think of that, that's like worst case scenario example. You might get organic traffic just because of the name bestblogger.com. Somebody might happen to Google hire the best blogger or something like that. And you might get organic search traffic just because of the name. But think about all the things I said, all the things I said in the background. If you didn't know any of that and you just run a cold site with none of the other stuff in place, not even considering that you're going to even maybe make it after the fact, how well do you think it's going to do if you just leave it like that? Don't do any more work and you just post it up. After your 3 months of paying Shopify $1 each month, you start dishing out $39 a month. You're losing money at this point. You've lost $1 every month. You've probably lost $12.99 or so on a domain name through GoDaddy, and however much you're paying for the hosting, that's for the year, and then $39 a month for 9 months. You've lost a lot of money there, right? If you change nothing. So take that terrible example. What could a person who wants to be a blogger do to create a service, right? First of all, you need to know what's the best platform to even, use. Like you can use Blogger, uh you can use WordPress, you can use Medium. There are other sites as well, but if you've never even run up a blog of your own, you've never even written a blog, you might not even really know how it works. If you've never searched for keywords, you might not even have a specific niche that you're like familiar with writing in, or something that you've done for work before that maybe you used to repair Yamaha electronic keyboards or something. um if you have that skill, you could probably become a blogger in that skill, right? You could blog in any specific niche, but if you're trying to provide that service, you need to know where's the best platform, what are the best practices, what does the SEO look like for every platform, how are people going to find you, how are people going to trust you, do you have reviews, do you have anything? I would say the best thing to go by is, proof of what you've done. So the first step would probably be figure out how to open up a blog. Figure out, okay, where did I have the best luck blogging and actually people reading my stuff? What were the topics that I was talking about on my blog, that made people come to it? I've talked about this before, way back, when my friend made this blog about like nursing, like how to like finish nursing school or whatever it was. Um, he did really well because people needed that information. They wanted that information. They desired it. And he got traffic without even trying. He didn't even have a domain name. He was just blogging off of like, I think it was Blogspot back then, or like whatever. I don't know where he was blogging, honestly. He was blogging somewhere. So it is possible to not really know exactly what to do. But it's different when you're talking. He could have probably not sold his blogging abilities, but he possibly could have noticed, hey, my blog is getting traffic. I could make a digital product about nursing. Like, here's my study guide. Here's what I did that was my schedule for the last 12 months. Here's my study session schedule. Here's how I meditated almost every day. This was my sleep schedule. This was my diet and exercise plan. Things like that people might want to know. They want to know, how was someone else successful? He could sell that. He could have probably easily sold something like that, right? Because he did it. He passed. He did well. He could have explained it and sold that information, that experience as a product to other people who wanted to actually know and follow his steps. People do it all the time. Personal trainers do it, dietitians do it. There are a lot of people who have something that another person needs or wants, and they will be able to use their experience to share it, and then they can go from there and realize, hey, I want to use my experience, talk about my experience, And people pay me. People pay me because I'm good at what I do. I have results. Other people who want those results are going to buy those results or buy the steps that it takes to get those results. But if you're just the blogger that doesn't really know how to blog and you're not really having any special skills, you've never ranked a blog at all, you've never even ranked any of your content or had people flocking to a certain piece of content just organically, you don't have any kind of samples of your work or anything to go by, you don't know which platform you're deciding to use and why, you don't know which platform is best, you don't know the SEO best practices for Medium, you don't know the rules, you don't know, like, how are you going to do it? How are you even going to, I'm not saying you can't do it, but it's like if you do that kind of thing cold and don't know any other steps to take, and don't change anything and don't tweak anything and don't keep researching and learning and trying different stuff, if you're not already a professional with blogging, it's going to be really hard to be like, I really want to be a blogger and just sell your services, your digital service off Shopify as, a blogger. That sounds weird. Like, to me, that's a weird way to do it. Unless you're already established, you might want to use something like Upwork or something like Fiverr. I mean, it's fine to start your own personal website and sell your services. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you don't know what you're doing yet, I'm not saying use Fiverr or Upwork if you don't know what you're doing, but if you don't know what you're doing yet, it makes more sense to practice it, get some steps under your belt that you're like, okay, if I do this, A plus B equals C, 1 plus 2 equals 3. I know what I'm doing. I can do this every time and I will get results. Because you understand something now. Even if it's just one thing that you understand, is how to rank one article off of keywords, and say you have one niche that has one keyword that does really well. Now you can write blogs on that key about that specific keyword and sell your services. But if you just go cold with no social media backing, nobody knows that you exist, you're not promoting your website in any way, people aren't going to find you. So that's probably the worst example I could probably give, but the reason why I'm giving it is because I think it explains what doesn't look good. You know, you have to have a strategy in place. You have to know what you're doing, why you're doing it, why you're using what you're using, why you're not using some other platform. Um, Sorry, I'm distracted by these sirens. It's like always something over here, I swear. Um, but yeah, you can get pretty far if you understand strategy. So I would say, just like everyone else says, I'm not saying anything out of the norm, but if you're gonna sell a service, you need to know how to do the service. I would say the best way to know how to do the service, if you can do it for other people, is if you can do it for yourself. You can say, look, I got myself these results. I ran up 4 different blogs. This blog did well, that blog did well, this one didn't do well, but I know why, because I didn't do the same things as I did on these other blogs, and this 4th one did the best. This 4th one is the niche that I know the most information about, therefore I was able to intelligently write about it and predict what keywords to use for my posts and what content would do the best and what needs are in the community and what people actually want to hear about that's valuable information to them. If you've already worked in a field, you know what's valuable. I worked in mental health. I know what's valuable. PTO is valuable. Having a boss or leadership teams that aren't, high strung and that aren't, heavy handed. I know people don't like hit each other in those offices, but people who aren't like, threatening, they don't threaten their staff, they're not manipulative. Like, you know, you need a healthy environment to work in mental health. It needs to be healthy. Sorry, guys, I do not know what's going on. It's like the third set of sirens. Um, I don't know. I hope everything's alright out there. Something's going on. Usually there's not this many sirens. But okay, I hope that makes sense. You know, if you don't know what type of service, if you're going to go the service route and you don't know what type of service you want to provide, like if you'd rather sell a service than a product, I think I'm a little more interested in selling services than products, but the promotion can take some time. But I feel like it's easier to see results with products because I mean, with skills that you're selling your skills. I feel like it's a little bit easier because you can show it to people, and if they want it, they'll buy it from you. But then again, if you're the one doing all the work, it's going to be hard. Like, you can't really just do all the work all the time versus like products. You can sell a product quickly. You can sell 100 products in a day, 200 products in a day. You know, if somebody's asking you to like sell your artwork and you're painting, I mean, can you paint 200 paintings in a day, like classic oil paintings, unless you're like, you do it with speed or something, like some speedy process that and that's your skill, maybe. But most people, I think, take a while. So it's like when you're selling, your services, sometimes that can be a little slower, but then you can charge more too. If you're selling services writing blog posts, you could charge however much a month, and if that's worth it to somebody, they'll buy your services, you know. And especially if you have proven results, that's already, proof that it's worth it. Especially if you've made yourself money, that's proof enough for a lot of people to want to buy it. And you can market yourself that way. But we'll talk about products next. But keep the social media stuff in mind as well. Um, you want to think about, are you going to run a site cold? Are you going to open up a Shopify store, run the site with no social media backing, no LinkedIn, no nothing? Because backlinks can be important too. Um, ads can be important too. Like, you just gotta think about it. Like, what's gonna be best for what you're trying to sell. I think sometimes people jump in too fast and they're like, I want to do this, and like they don't research the product, they don't research the service, they don't know the skills properly, they don't have proof that they can get results with the skills, and then they're like, why am I not getting any customers? It's like, yeah, you're not gonna get customers because nobody trusts you. Like, I could go on Fiverr and look up 10 bloggers, find one of them that is within my price range that has proof of the work that they've done, or at least seems like it's proof of something that they've done, and purchase their stuff and do just fine, do really well. I could do that, and it would be fine, and I would be fine, and I wouldn't have to think twice about it. Um, versus, what's my chance of coming across bestblogger.com? Like, why would I even think to search that? You know, you just gotta think about it. That's kind of like, I'm not giving like very specific steps, but it's like you kind of have to have all this mindset stuff down with the brainstorming process. You have to know all this stuff first before you start spending money and launching stuff. Like, you don't have to spend years learning it. It's like just the amount of time that I'm thinking of it, if that I'm talking about it now, and then just going back on your own every day and like looking at the stuff that I talked about and seeing what you can learn of it. That's probably going to be good enough. You don't have to spend like, you can it benefits you to spend more time, but you could spend a little bit of time, a couple hours every day, learning these types of concepts that I'm covering. in detail from other people, and then just move on to the next topic. Um, so with that, we'll talk about products next.